She left your life for a reason, not to break you, but to redirect you to your highest self. And this was God's plan. And He will remove certain people from your life who block your growth. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about why her leaving you was the best decision ever. Because right now, it's very easy to think of the negatives because you're going through the pain of this breakup or you've recently gone through a breakup. But let's look at the positives. Let's look at how this breakup was a blessing in disguise. And I want to talk about the areas of focus that you can relate with in today's video. I'm going to go through them individually so then you can pay close attention and see, okay, is this an area that I need to improve? And if it is, you'll be able to identify which areas you need to improve in order to grow, in order to strive and become the best version of yourself. Because right now, I don't want you to misinterpret loneliness for solitude. You're probably thinking that you're going through loneliness, but let me tell you, loneliness is personal suffering. Solitude is an opportunity for growth. This is where you rebuild. This is where the true transformation begins. So we're going to use this time wisely. We're going to focus on growing. We're not going to worry about her because she's no longer in the picture anymore. You're no longer responsible for looking after her, right? So now is the perfect time to start focusing inwards and start focusing on yourself. So we want to cover the exact areas that you want to pay close attention to. And these are the areas that you more than likely may be neglected or areas that need attention. Now let's talk about identity and self-worth. If you feel lost, if you feel empty after she left you, you more than likely have tied your value to her. You've outsourced your self-worth to this person, right? You've tied your identity to her. And that's why right now it's very hard to move forward because she's no longer in the picture. And you got to think to yourself, okay, did I make her the center of my world? Was she someone that made me feel complete internally? Okay, because if you tied your self-worth to her, you more than likely don't have a good relationship within yourself, okay? And that's why we're going to embrace this period of solitude so we can rebuild a new identity. We can rebuild our self-worth, our habits, our discipline, our purpose. We can focus on all these areas. Because if you outsource your self-worth to someone else, you're always going to have this empty void, right? So you need to make sure that you rebuild a strong relationship within yourself by reconstructing a new identity. And when you do this, you will no longer make someone else the center of your world. Because when your identity is solid, no women can ever break you. Let me repeat that again. When your identity is solid, no woman can ever break you, okay? You won't go through this exact feeling that you're feeling right now in any other breakup if it was to happen, right? You definitely won't be attracting the same type of woman because when you met this woman, you were, let's say, a 1.0 version of yourself, right? You didn't have your identity set in stone. So therefore, when she left you, because you tied your identity to her, it made it so much harder to move forward. But think about it. If you really focused on rebuilding your identity, you started to focus on rebuilding your self-worth, building that relationship within through your daily habits, your discipline, by focusing on your purpose. If you were to ever get in this position again, you wouldn't attract that same type of woman, right? Because like attracts like. So when you start to move forward, when you start to use this opportunity to rebuild, that's when you will attract a better woman. This is when you'll attract a woman to suit that new identity, right? That 2.0 version of yourself that we're trying to reconstruct. That's the type of woman you'll attract. And it's not even about women, but I'm just saying, if you were to ever go through a breakup again, no woman will ever break you. You won't feel lost. You won't feel empty. Yes, you'll be sad, but you'll be able to move on, okay? Because you've got your purpose, you've got your self-worth, you've got your identity set in stone, an identity that you're proud of. And if things don't work out, well, guess what? You're able to move forward because you will come to the acceptance of this relationship not working out, and it's okay. This person and I weren't compatible. And I'll move on and I'll meet someone who's more aligned to my identity. So tying your identity and self-worth to the other person is the reason why you feel lost and empty right now after she left, right? So we need to make sure that we rebuild a new identity, rebuild a strong relationship within. And we can do that by having the right daily habits, by having discipline and structure in our life, and also purpose. Now let's talk about masculine frame and boundaries. Did you lead that relationship? Or did she lead the relationship? Did she respect you during that relationship? Or did she disrespect you? Did you let her walk all over you? Did you avoid confrontation? Did you just let her win every argument because you just couldn't be bothered arguing? We need to really think about these things, right? Because if you've lost frame in that relationship, and if you didn't set boundaries, and you more than likely wouldn't have if you didn't have self-respect, which is tied to your self-worth. So in order to have your masculine frame and have boundaries put in place, it then ties back to your identity and your self-worth, right? Because if you have high self-worth, if you've got self-respect, if you're able to lead your own life as a man, then you're able to lead another relationship. You're able to put boundaries if people cross those boundaries. You won't let people walk all over you, right? So it ties in to your self-worth at the end of the day, right? And that will help you have frame in the next relationship, and you can lead. And if someone crosses those boundaries, well, guess what? You're able to walk away. You're not operating out of fear. You're not worried about, hey, this person will leave me, I'm going to be alone. Because you put yourself on a pedestal. You see yourself as the prize. You're no longer putting the other person on the pedestal. And she will actually respect you a lot more, right? In your next relationship, if you lead and you've got boundaries and you've got high self-worth and you know who you are, then she will respect you. And if you understand basic female psychology, they're attracted to men that are confident, men that have high self-worth, men that have self-respect, men that actually put boundaries in place and put women in their place if they step out of line, obviously in a respectful way. But at the end of the day, she's going to be attracted to that man. She's not going to be attracted to the man that has low self-worth, low self-esteem, negative self-talk, is not able to lead his own life. Therefore, he cannot lead a relationship, doesn't put boundaries in place, gets walked all over. No one wants to be with a person like that, right? At the end of the day. So you got to really reflect and have a look. Okay, were these areas that needed attention? And if I was to talk about identity and self-worth relating to my last breakup, that 7-year relationship, which came to an end approximately 3 years ago, I tied my identity to her. Okay, and that's why when she broke up with me, I felt lost. I felt empty. I wasn't able to move forward. That breakup just felt like death. And that's because I tied my self-worth to her. I outsourced it to her, right? And looking back now, we make mistakes, but that was an area that I really had to focus on. Even masculine frame. I did lead the relationship at the start, but because I didn't have high self-worth, after the honeymoon stage ended, that's when I wasn't able to lead the relationship, because I wasn't leading my own life. I wasn't able to put effective boundaries in place. Even though I wanted to put boundaries in place, she didn't take me serious because I didn't respect myself, right? And women can sense this, and they end up losing their genuine burning desire towards you. But that's a whole different topic. But more or less, I understand exactly what you're going through, because I personally went through this myself. And now, after looking back, after rebuilding my identity, having masculine frame, having that self-respect, having boundaries that I can put in place, so therefore if someone does cross my boundaries and disrespects them, then I'm more than happy to walk away. Now, the second area of focus that you might be able to relate with is purpose and direction. Did you have a mission during that relationship, or were you just drifting? Were you striving towards something greater other than the relationship itself? Did you strive towards personal goals outside of the relationship? Now, if you didn't have any purpose or direction, you need to understand that as a man, you need to have purpose and direction. This is an area that's absolutely non-negotiable. This is probably one of the most important areas that I want you to really focus on after the identity and self-worth part. This is one of the most important parts that I don't want you to miss, because if you don't have purpose or direction, any mission that you're striving towards, you're always going to make the woman your center of your world, right? Because you're going to have an empty void internally. And the only thing that's going to give you that sense of fulfillment, right? Because we get fulfillment through goals, we get fulfillment through having a mission, something that we're striving towards. And if we don't have that, we're always going to be seeking external gratification. We're always going to be seeking something externally, right? And in your case, you more than likely seek the relationship because you didn't really have a mission, right? You didn't have personal goals. Maybe you tried to start something, but you never really finished it, right? You weren't consistent enough. So you need to ask yourself, okay, what is my greater mission in life? Because this is far more important than being in a relationship, right? Take it from someone that's been in long-term relationships for over 15 years. I never had purpose or direction. Yes, I would work, but I wouldn't strive towards something greater. There wasn't something that was driving me to get out of bed each and every day, right? I didn't have that greater why. I didn't focus on that greater why because I didn't know how to go about it, right? I didn't know how to actually build my purpose. I didn't know what my mission was. So I would just get in relationships. And when you get in the relationship, everything's fine for that honeymoon period. But when you get out of that honeymoon period, or when that honeymoon period comes to an end, that's when you feel empty internally, right? Because you don't have a mission that you're striving towards. I didn't have personal goals that I was striving towards. Yes, I went to the gym and I was doing all the traditional things that most men do, but I wasn't taking it serious. I didn't have certain things that I put in place that I really wanted to accomplish. And that's why having no purpose made her my purpose, right? It made her the center of my world because she was my everything, because I didn't have anything else that I was striving towards that was greater than her. And women can feel this, right? She will know that she is the center of your world. She will know that you're not striving towards anything greater, right? She knows you better than anyone else, better than your friends, because you more than likely spent a lot of time with this person. So she knows, hey, is this person striving towards something greater in life? Or am I just the only thing in his life that he's striving towards, right? She will know this. So what you need to do now, because if you don't have a mission or a greater why that you're striving towards, or any personal goals for that matter, this is what you really need to put your attention to, right? You need to have this. This is non-negotiable. Your relationships will crumble without purpose and direction. And take it from me, right? I made a bunch of mistakes throughout the course of being in 15 years of relationships, and purpose and direction was up there on the list. Yeah, because I didn't have that. I was just drifting. And if you're drifting through life, that's where you're going to feel empty, right? That's where you're going to start leaning towards vices, having poor habits. So I want you to understand that your purpose and direction is the number one thing that you need to have before getting yourself in a relationship. That's why men end up getting stagnant in relationships, right? Us men, we're goal-striving creatures. You got to understand that that's essentially where we get our fulfillment and happiness from, right? When we reach our goals, when we have a mission that we're striving towards in life. And that mission has to always be there, right? That mission, those goals, you always got to have it. Even if you have a partner, even if you don't have a partner, even if you got kids, even if you don't have kids, you got to have a greater why that you're striving towards as a man. This is just the way that we are hardwired. And when you go against it, as I said before, you will start escaping through vices. And that's exactly what I did, right? And that leads me to my next point, which is habits and lifestyle, right? Do you have vices in your life? Are you wasting time doing pointless things? Are you watching Netflix? Are you watching movies? Things that are not getting you anywhere? Are you procrastinating? Are you choosing pleasure over discipline, right? What are your habits like? What were your habits like? What were your habits like during that relationship? Did you have routine? Did you have structure? Were you intentional? Because I didn't have that purpose and direction, and maybe you don't as well, that's more than likely why you had the wrong habits. That's why you more than likely indulged in certain vices. That's why you more than likely started indulging in watching Netflix with your partner and spent too much time there rather than focusing on your mission, or having that balance of just allocating your time accordingly to your mission, and then maybe spending a bit of time allocated with your partner to have a bonding session or whatever that might be, right? But at the end of the day, you got to understand that your habits and lifestyle need to be on point. Okay, this is an area that you need to focus on right now, especially if you have the wrong habits and you're not living a lifestyle that you're proud of, a lifestyle that you wake up each and every day and everything's all intentional. You've got complete control over your life. So for me personally, my vices, I would smoke weed during that relationship. I would drink alcohol time to time. I would eat junk food. I would indulge watching Netflix. I would indulge watching movies every day, right? Ordering takeout while we watch movies and all these time wasting things that got me nowhere, right? At the end of the day, a woman, she can get away with it, right? But us men, because we don't have that purpose and direction, right? That's why we lean towards vices. That's why we lean towards wasting time, right? That's why we make her the center of our world. And instead of doing the things that we need to do, habits that will actually serve us, choosing discipline over pleasure, that's why we give in, right? That's why we might skip the gym when we're in that relationship, right? I did that plenty of times. I would skip the gym just to take her shopping, right? Things like that. You need to be firm. If you've got structure and discipline and your day's organized, then you won't be negotiable, right? It's non-negotiable tasks that you will stick to. And even if you get in a relationship, she'll respect you for not watching Netflix with her. She'll respect you even more for not taking her shopping because you need to work on your project. You need to work on your mission. You need to work on your goals. A woman will respect you more, right? A lot of guys think that if they be Mr. Nice Guy, then she'll actually love you more or she will respect you more. But that's not the case. And you obviously know that because you've gone through the breakup itself, that being Mr. Nice Guy, people pleasing gets you nowhere, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to having the right habits, having the right sort of lifestyle, having the right routines, being very intentional, being non-negotiable. And let's even go one step further. What about your fitness and health, right? Did you prioritize or optimize your health throughout that relationship? Or did you let yourself go, right? Because me personally, I let myself go. I got to 30% body fat, which is classified as obese. It's not healthy because of my poor lifestyle choices, because of my poor eating habits, because I skipped the gym, as I mentioned before, and would spend more time with her because I didn't have that purpose and direction. So you got to ask yourself, was I focusing on these areas? Did I let my fitness go? Did I let my health go? My longevity? If you're a man that's reaching his 30s or you're in your 30s right now, you got to really prioritize these areas, okay? You got to think about the future because you're no longer in your 20s anymore. So for me, I was 33 at 30% body fat, right? That was unacceptable. Every time I looked at myself in the mirror, I had a gut. I would hate what I'd see in the mirror. And sometimes I wouldn't even look in the mirror, right? Because whatever I saw in the mirror, it reflected back at me. And that was a reminder of how much I let myself go, that it just completely put me off, right? But at the end of the day, it was either stay stuck in that unhealthy body at 30% body fat with zero confidence. Straight after that breakup, that's exactly how I felt. But I got to work. I really prioritized my fitness, my health, right? I wasn't getting any younger. I was 33 and I let myself go. And fitness was an area that I always wanted to excel in. However, I never was able to do it because, again, I didn't have the right identity that I built, right? I didn't build a man that had masculine frame, a man that had high self-worth, a man that had discipline. I didn't build this identity, right? So that was a big wake-up call after my breakup because I had to focus on these areas that I had complete control over, right? And you can start with this straight away. So I want you to optimize your health, right? Focus on your fitness. Focus on getting yourself to a healthy body fat percentage. Anywhere between 12 to 15% body fat is healthy for men, right? You're going to look good. You're going to feel good. You're going to increase your confidence. Your self-worth is going to go through the roof as well, because when you look in the mirror, you're going to be like, wow, I created this physique. I showed up today. I made the healthy food choices. I had the right habits. You didn't magically get this physique. You built this physique through all your choices that you made, all the discipline that you put in place, right? All this is literally momentum that you've built, which is going to lead you to building that physique, right? You've got to enjoy that journey itself. It's not about getting to 12 to 15%. It's about having the right lifestyle choices, having the right habits engraved, which will then get you to that goal of 12 to 15% body fat, right? And that was a goal that I set. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be 33 at 30% body fat. Having a big gut, having pecs that look like tits, right? I was not going to live that way. I didn't have any confidence. So I just focused on what was within my control. I eliminated all the bad habits. I started to focus on ingesting clean, healthy, wholesome foods. And I just got to work. I started training twice a day, did weights, did cardio, and I got to 10% body fat. I got absolutely shredded, right? I had veins coming out of my stomach. I did a full transformation, right? So I embraced this time of solitude, right? After going through the breakup. I got to work. I just focused on getting myself aligned mentally, physically, and spiritually. That were the only 3 areas that were within my control. I didn't focus on long-term goals. I just focused on the short-term goals, and I got to work. I started with myself. I didn't make any excuses. I took my emotions out of the equation, and I just focused on who must I become in order to rebuild a 2.0 version of myself, right? Because I mapped out exactly who I wanted to become, and then I got to work. And yeah, fitness changed my life, man. It helped me with my mindset. It helped me bring back confidence. It helped me build more charisma. When you walk in a room, when you look rare, when you're someone that is, 10% body fat, all right, that's on a different level. But let's say 12 to 15% body fat, you look good, The average man is pretty much either overweight or it's super skinny, right? So if you're someone that comes in that looks like an athlete, that's healthy body fat percentage range, think about how much confidence you get. Think about the respect you have for yourself. Think about your internal self-talk. Think about how people respect you. When I go places, and I'm not trying to brag, but when I go places, people respect me. People give me that respect. I command that respect because I've earned it. I'm someone that's self-disciplined. You can't buy a physique, right? So start with that. Just build a healthy, lean, aesthetic physique. The core foundation is building that body. And when you build that body, you have a healthy mind. And when you have a healthy mind, you feel good about yourself. So with fitness, you can literally leverage that physique, right? You can leverage it with networking. You can leverage it in relationships. You can leverage it when you go places, right? Fitness itself is very important for any man. You've got the ability to build muscle as a man. You've got testosterone, which is your greatest weapon. Use it properly. So if this is an area you neglected, please focus on getting to 12 to 15% body fat. And the last area that I want you to focus on, and you might be able to relate with this as well, is spiritual alignment and mindset. So when we talk about spiritual alignment, we're talking about your frequency, okay? Your internal state, the energy that you're operating from. And I want you to go back to that relationship. Was your mindset operating out of fear, neediness, desperation? Were you getting anxious with the other person when she wouldn't respond back to your text messages straight away? Did you make her the center of your world? If you did, you more than likely have low frequency. And low frequency is the energy that you're operating from. So low frequency emotions are shame, guilt, anger, resentment. Did you have these low frequency emotions? Because that was your operating system. And when you're operating that way, that's the energy that you put out to the world. And when you put that out to the world, people can sense that and you get more and more of that back. Okay? Or were you operating out of a mindset of abundance? A mindset out of growth? Did you experience high frequency emotions, self-love, inner peace, joy, fulfillment? And I want you to really focus on your internal vibrational state, right? This is very important. Not many people talk about this because they don't understand the whole concept behind this. But you got to understand your frequency is what you frequently see. It's your energy that you're transmitting to the world, and that's exactly what you get back. So if you were someone that was operating out of fear, scarcity, neediness, desperation, that's a low vibrational state, right? That's the frequency. That's the energy that you're projecting. So your ex-partner would have felt that. She would have been able to read you, and she probably kept her distance from you, right? Because no one wants to be with someone that's operating out of fear, operating out of desperation and neediness. But when you transition into abundance, when you start to experience high frequency emotions, that's what you're transmitting out into the world, right? And people want to be around you. People want to be around those that have self-love, that have inner peace, fulfillment. It makes you more charismatic. It gives you the opportunity on top of that to also attract different things into your life, right? It gives you opportunities when you have that shift, when you shift your mindset from fear and then you shift it into abundance, right? When you shift from low frequency emotions to the high frequency emotions, right? The shift is on another level. And when you live in alignment, mentally, physically, and spiritually, all three are aligned. That's where you're living a purposeful life. That's where you get to actually raise your frequency, change your entire mindset, the lens, how you view the world. And that's when doors start opening in your life. That's when you get better opportunities. You get an opportunity to have a better career. That's when you have better relationships. That's when you live that purposeful life. And me personally, throughout the whole course of that relationship, my mindset was trapped in fear and scarcity, right? That's why I was so needy. That's why I was so desperate. And that's what pushed her further and further away, right? And I was experiencing low frequency emotions. I had a lot of shame, guilt, anger, resentment towards myself. And that was the energy that I was transmitting out. And she would read that, right? And that would push her further away from me. And I don't blame her for breaking up with me at the end of the day, right? Who wants to be with someone like that? But you make mistakes and you learn valuable lessons and then you move forward, right? Because I felt that way for so long, I knew I had to do something about this. I knew I had to shift my mindset. I knew I didn't want to operate with fear and scarcity no more. So I switched that to an abundance-based mindset. And that's where I was able to attract things into my life. That's where doors started opening for me. And for me personally, that breakup that I went through, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. because it allowed me to focus on all these areas that I've explained to you in today's video. And if it wasn't for that breakup itself, I wouldn't be able to rebuild a new identity. I wouldn't be able to rebuild the man that you see in front of the camera today. I wouldn't have high self-worth, high self-respect. I found my purpose and my mission by living a purposeful life, right? After shifting my identity. I had the right daily habits. I created a lifestyle that I was happy to live, a life that I was proud of. I went from 30% body fat, as I mentioned earlier, to 10% body fat, right? I had optimal health. I started to have better relationships with people, started to network with more people, started to align with other men who are on the same journey as me. And we became good friends, and we are still friends to this day. And because I changed my internal state, because I wasn't operating through that low frequency anymore, because I have self-love, inner peace, joy, gratitude, fulfillment, that allowed me to start this YouTube channel. That allowed me to do something that was fulfilling. And for me, it was helping other men through coaching. And that's what I love to do. Why? Because I know what it feels like to be in a low position in life. I know what it feels like to have a broken identity. I know what it feels like to not want to be here anymore. So for me, it's fulfilling work, helping someone else transform their life. I wouldn't have found this if it wasn't for that breakup. And I'm so grateful. When I do my journal entries each and every day, I've got a section where I talk about gratitude, and I list 5 things that I'm grateful for. And something that I always write down is that breakup. I'm not being spiteful, but if it wasn't for that breakup, my whole life wouldn't have changed, right? It wasn't just one area, it was every area. Because for me, I embrace solitude. I seized that opportunity. After making so many mistakes throughout the course of 15 years of relationships, and then finally going through that rock bottom period at 33 years old, 3 years ago, I was never going to get myself in that position again, ever. So I did the work. I embraced solitude. Instead of running away and escaping through vices, getting myself in another relationship, avoid doing the actual work that needed to be done, because I get it, it's painful, it's not easy to rebuild. But at the end of the day, I visualized that next chapter of my life, me being in my 40s, 50s, and 60s, alone, living a life that had no fulfillment, escaping always through vices. And that really gave me that fire to change things around. And also on top of this, I met the woman that I'm currently in a relationship with now. Beautiful woman, feminine woman who complements my life, who brings me good energy, who wants nothing but the best for me, who supports my mission, who doesn't take energy away from me. She always wants to see me grow. She's got my best intentions at heart. And I didn't go looking for this person, right? God, the man above, whatever you want to call it, aligned me with this person at the right time. I didn't have to go on no dating apps or anything like that. She literally fell into my life at the right time. It's because I was ready to receive. It's because I did the internal work. It's because I did the transformational work. And I'm so grateful to have met her, because she makes my life easy. She complements my life. She supports my mission. And that's exactly the type of relationship I always wanted, but I was never able to get it because of my identity. But once you take personal responsibility, I'm telling you, and you focus on all these areas, I promise that you will attract an even better woman. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing special about me. It's just I got to work. I embrace solitude. I didn't treat it as loneliness. I used it as an opportunity. I used the fuel of my negative emotions of the breakup itself to change my whole entire life around. And I'm telling you, that's why my whole life has completely changed, right? And the same thing can happen for you. So please don't look at the negatives of this breakup. Please look at this breakup as a blessing in disguise. It can change your whole entire life. And this is literally God's plan, right? God wants you to have a good life. God wants you to be the best version of yourself, right? That's why he removed her. So now you can get to work. If this is an area, or these are areas that you need help with, I can help you with all these areas. I can help you get mentally, physically, and spiritually aligned, living a purposeful life, having that internal fulfillment, raising your frequency. This is what I love to do. This is what I've done for myself. This is what I help other guys with at the moment as well. So I can help you do the same. If you need that help, you can click the link down below and you can book a free call and we can see if we can work together or not. But if you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button. If you want to share your comments, drop your comments down below. I'm happy to provide any advice or make a response video if anyone needs any help. You can even reach out on Instagram and send me a private DM. Share this video if you know anyone that needs it. But look, ending the video here, hope this video inspired you to change and focus now on the positives, because you've got your whole life ahead of you and you've got this at the end of the day. So look, ending the video here. Hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.